I am completely flabbergasted, but I think I may have lost my job or gotten myself fired today. And it's kind of a complicated story, but I'm going to try to tell it. I feel super nervous now and sort of shaky, and um, but I drink a lot of coffee too, and I don't know why my lips are looking so orange. I feel like I'm starting to look like Truman Capote, like a fat bald guy or something. It's weird. It's unsettling. But okay, so I posted a video earlier called Just Another Average Day, and I thought the day was just going to be another average day. And we were working in this dog park, trying to get this dog park ready. And they started building on this dog park like last year. It was all fenced off, and they planted the trees. And a bunch of the trees died because they put in irrigation, but then they never got the water going to it or something. So the trees... all these trees that they planted died because they weren't getting water or didn't get water. And then wintertime came, and then we would go and look at this dog park sometimes, and my boss, well, my supervisor guy, Johnny, he would kind of fill me in about the background of the dog park. And the whole thing had been kind of a disaster, and it was all filled with weeds and like foxtails and other stuff like that, and all these dead trees, and the irrigation needed to be turned on, and fountains need to be installed, and some benches. But anyway, there was a lot of work needed to be done at this dog park, and since I worked there, it's just been kept getting put off, and then it turns out there's a grand opening coming up, and maybe even like the mayor of the city's supposed to be there and some other stuff. And so anyways, we were working there. I was like pulling weeds and taking out trees, cutting down some dead trees, and they were small, like, saplings or seed. You have to call them saplings maybe, because they weren't grown from seed, but, well, they could have been grown from seed. I actually don't know about that, but God damn. So when I was there, I kept seeing this bird, and this bird I've known since childhood. It's called a killdeer, which is an interesting name for a bird. And they have this like really interesting way about them. Like they nest on the ground, and then that kind of makes them vulnerable to predators. So they've developed this way to like kind of I don't know how to describe it, but when you get close to the nest, the bird acts hurt. Like the bird will get close to you, it'll act like it has a broken wing and then like a broken foot or something, and it'll start flopping around so that you want to go. If you were a predator, like say a dog or a wolf or whatever, or even a person, you would go after it instead of hanging out by its nest, right? And so I started noticing these killdeer, that there were two of them, and then it just kind of hit me. I was like, oh man, there's a nest here. And in the meantime, my supervisor, Johnny, was weed whacking or weed whipping, whatever you want to call it. And we were taking down they had erected these little sort of fences around the trees to try to keep the dogs from peeing on them. But then they changed their mind because they look like shit. And so they decided they want us to take all these like hog wire and rebar dog fences down. Each tree had like 3 of them. So there were like 4 or 5 of us going around digging holes for trees, taking these things off. And so there was a lot of commotion and noise and stuff going on. But so I kept seeing these birds, and then I just was like, well, where's the nest? I have a feeling the nest is right in here somewhere, in this dog park somewhere. And I would go by this zone, and I had imagined that the nest would be in like some bush, like some little, like a grassy, like some foxtails or something like that. And there was like this kind of rocky, gravelly area. I'm going to post a video of it after this video, just so everybody can picture what I'm talking about. And this bird would start doing that, and then I noticed that there must have been a male and female, and my heart started to go out to this bird right away, and I was like, I was like, I know this bird has a nest. And I just thought, well, maybe it's on their side of the dog fence near the highway or something. And so, uh, but then I really started to catch my attention. Every time I'd walk to go do something, this bird would be in front of me trying and acting like it was all messed up, and so then I was like getting bothered by it. And so I said a couple prayers. I was like, dear God, I don't know, where this bird's nest at, but I hope it's outside the fence. And then I that prayer changed a little bit later to please God help me find this nest, because I didn't want anything to happen to it, and there was all this commotion going on. Oh, this story's so convoluted. So then I tried saying the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And it just was not working. I just could not quit thinking about this bird. And I mentioned it to my boss, Johnny. He was weed whipping. I stopped him. I said, hey man, did you see that beautiful killdeer over there? It was so pretty, so pretty. Like kind of beige colored wings and like a golden color, and small too. Kind of a tiny bird. Not like super tiny, but a real fragile looking bird, real skinny legs. And Johnny was like, what's a killdeer? And I was like, it's that bird that acts like it's hurt if you get close to its nest. And he was like, oh yeah, I think I know what it is, but I didn't know what it was called. And he just went back to weed whipping. And then I said to another guy there, one of the other seasonal guys, I said, hey man, do you know what a killdeer is? He's graduated from Brigham Young University too. And he didn't know what a killdeer was. And I was just like, what the fuck? How can people not know what a killdeer is, Because I guess I was lucky, and somehow where I grew up, and then I don't know if it was my grandma. I think maybe it was my grandma explained to me how they act. Like, I think we ran across one in the field someday, and then she explained to me how it acts like it's hurt, so you will stay away from its nest. It's like a decoy tactic, And I was really impressed, and I just thought the bird was so clever. And so my whole life, I've just really admired and loved killdeer, right? So anyway, this guy, he didn't know what the fuck a killdeer was, this college graduate, and just full of useless knowledge. This guy is just full of useless knowledge. He's supposed to be a mechanical engineer, but he doesn't even know how to put a screw in a hole, Whatever. But, okay, so then I was like, several times I was just like, God, just help me find this nest. Because then I thought, well, maybe I could just put a couple of stakes around it, and then nobody would tread on it. And, we could protect it, in some fashion. I didn't know, but I've seen videos where farmers are coming at them with their combine in the field, and then they know they're there. So the farmer will not even do that portion of the field so that it won't disturb that nest, And I always just loved those farmers for doing that. And then I just thought, well, if the farmers can respect them that much that they'll save a whole portion of their crop, from getting planted or from getting harvested or whatever, just for this bird, it seems like we could go out of our way a little bit to save these birds' nest, So anyways, I was like getting mad at Jesus. I was like, God, why is all this development killing all the animals, and why doesn't anybody care about the animals? And so I was just like, why am I worrying about it if you won't even worry about it? It seems like you could change this, and then I just could not settle. My mind was just kind of, and then every time I would see the bird, it would just like, and then I was just, several times I was like, please God, just help me find this nest. Just help me find this nest. And then a couple times I just went walking around looking for the nest, but I kept looking in the grassy, bushy areas, you know. And then I was coming back from doing something and I saw the bird sitting in a different position. It wasn't acting hurt or anything. And I was like, oh shit, I bet that's the nest. And then, so I went towards it and it got up and did that thing where it was acting like it had a broken thing again. And then I saw the 2 eggs sitting there, and it was in like a rock gravelly area, and they looked almost perfectly like rocks. They weren't even an exact oval. They have like a little, kind of almost like a little Sharpie point on one end, but they were like gray with black specks, and the rocks and gravel around them were like that same color. And there was just a little indentation there, but it was nest-like, like the gravel had been slightly moved, and so there it was right in front of me. And I was like, oh my God, it was a wonder I hadn't stepped on it, because I had been walking through that zone and walking through there, and I felt like this huge sense of relief. And I was like, oh my God, now I'm going to be able to, I thought I might just put up 3 flags, you know, like those sprinkler flags or something. And then I thought, well, my boss lady is an arborist. So I thought, well, she'll be bird friendly. And so surely if I tell her about the birds, we'll get some action on this thing, and we could build a little, you know, protective zone around it. Like even just flag it out, and then maybe later put a stake there that says bird nest, or I don't know, just to keep anybody from treading on it. But now keep in mind, the grand opening for the dog park is supposed to be in the middle of May here. And we're supposed to be doing all this work there. And she already kind of felt frazzled, I think, and had a lot going on. And so I don't even think that, well, in retrospect, this is all in retrospect. So anyways, I saw her over at her truck. And she had sort of been annoying me all morning anyways, like going around with the pink spray can, spraying where we're supposed to put trees, and spraying the ones pink that we were supposed to take out. And some of them that we took out weren't exactly dead. And I kind of felt like she was, what's that movie where the Jews get dropped off at the train station and Joseph Mengele picks out the Jews for his experiments and stuff? I kind of felt like she was like the Mengele arborist, where she was just like marking trees unceremoniously to be pulled out and to be cut down, and not really interested in saving them, even if they had some life in them, you know, just like a kind of, I know that seems far-fetched and kind of just crazy thinking, but just like an arborist with no heart, sort of. And then I've seen her method for planting trees, and she sort of beats them up and abuses them. I mean, I understand breaking up the root ball, but if you saw what she does, it's just like, what? Really? Is that what we're doing here? And so, all right, I gotta get focused on this story here. So I went over to her truck, and I said, hey, did you see the killdeers? And she said, yes. And I said, well, I found their nest. And then she seemed kind of interested. And so I had thrown down 3 pieces of rebar feet from the nest in a kind of a triangle shape, just to kind of mark it off. And then after I knew where it was, I didn't want to get too close to it, because I just didn't want to disturb the birds anymore. They'd already been putting up with all kinds of shit, you know. And so then she comes over there, and they're super hard to see. They're extremely hard to see, the eggs are. So I got her close. She still didn't see him. Then I like kind of pointed right at him, and then she saw him. And I was like, well, is there anything we can do to like protect him? And now I got to think about how this part goes, because I don't want to misquote or get this part wrong. But she just said, no, we've got dirt work coming in here, all over in here, and it's too bad. She just said, I think she said it's too bad twice. She just was like, yeah, it's too bad. And I was just horrified. I was like, are you fucking fucking kidding me? Because I could just picture, like, we could just get a little area there, flagged off, and then even if there's dirt work going on, everybody just go around it. I don't even know, because I haven't seen the plans. I don't know if they were planning on bringing a little mini excavator or a bobcat, or, it didn't seem to me like they needed that much work there. And Emerson's shedding like crazy again. And so she basically didn't care and just said too bad, and then that was that. And then I was just sort of like, I just felt like I just kind of couldn't believe it, and then I was like, well, I guess that's just progress. I mean, I seen this happen in Florida a lot. I remember going to lay out a foundation with one boss who was a contractor, and there were killdeer there. And I remember telling him, hey, man, there's got to be a nest around here somewhere. But, if we had said something, it could have put our project off by weeks or something. And nobody would, I wouldn't want to throw a wrench into his contractor business, and now suddenly we can't build the house and everything. And I just thought, well, that's what happens in life, is we just kill birds when we want to build a house, And I remember this other time, there was this nurse that she wanted her soffit redone, her fascia and soffit redone, and there were like several birds that had nests, and I was thinking, well, maybe we should wait. This is down there in Florida where there's a lot of different kinds of birds and songbirds and stuff. And I was like, in my mind, we could just, put it off for a little bit or something. But she just wanted him gone. She just wanted to kill him. And I just was kind of shocked that a woman and a nurse would just not have any feeling for a bunch of bird eggs or birds' nests. And they weren't like crap birds like starlings or something either. They were like, I don't know, we could just call them valuable birds, And, Jesus, I forget where I'm going with this now. There's still a lot more to tell. Okay, so then I was like bummed. I couldn't concentrate on my work. All I could think about was the bird's nest, and was the tractor going to roll over the eggs? And then the bird parents, were they going to be like fucked up for a couple days because of it? Or would they just be like, oh, the eggs are smashed and fly off, and realized their season was shot? Like, what? I just kind of was like, what? And then it's all just for a dog park. And anyway, then I talked to my supervisor, Johnny, about it, and he seemed like he kind of cared, but he was kind of busy working. We were working on a fountain, and then I kind of tried to talk to him a little bit more about it, but he just got real quiet, and so I was like, oh, Brian, just give it up, man. This is just progress, this is what we do. We roll into a place and we kill all the wildlife, and we plant a bunch of shit that doesn't belong there. And then dogs come and pee on everything, and people follow the dogs around with plastic bags and pick up the shit if we're lucky. And then like the fucking neighbors of the neighborhood, they don't care about killdeer, And I was just like, all that was going through my head. And so then when we went back to the shop, and then I was just feeling still frustrated about it. Like, can't we make an effort? Was kind of like my feeling. Can't we just like do the dirt work in a different time, and maybe just give these birds, I don't know, like a sort of an octagon-y like thing or something, where then the dogs can't get to them. I wanted to find a solution, And so then I was like, well, wait a minute. Are these birds, are they like gophers and nobody cares and there's no laws? And then I just typed in, are killdeers, can you kill killdeers? And no, I said, are killdeers protected or something? But it said, yes, killdeers are federally protected under the Migratory Bird Species Act. And then it's illegal to disturb their nest, to move their eggs, to kill the birds, to even fuck around with it at all. And I was like, oh, fuck. So then I showed Johnny just before I left. I said, hey, man, just check this out. And he read it, and he was like, oh. And he was like, well, okay, Brian. Tomorrow you and I will go, and we'll build a little something around the nest to protect it, And so I felt kind of semi-satisfied, but still, like, I was already angry at the arborist lady, my actual boss, and just her attitude and not caring about the birds. And okay, so then on the way home, I rode my motorcycle real fast on the way home, and like out of anger, kind of, or something, and then I was like, I'm gonna call maybe the Department of Fish and Game or the Department of Natural Resources. And then I was like, well, maybe I should just send my boss a letter first. So I did. Well, I wanted to drink really bad too. I almost went for beer. Like, I really wanted to drink over it like I did in the past. A lot of times I would get mad at work, get drunk, and send a shitty message to my boss, and then burn my bridge and never be able to go back. That had been my pattern. And then I would be out full of resentment and vindication and shit. And then the next day I'd be like, fuck, what did I do? What the hell did I just do to myself, But I was thinking, this job only pays $16.50 an hour. And if we're just going to be like killing birds and stuff, and I mean, I felt bad about killing the gophers, but I just kind of felt like, okay, that's what we do. And so I sent her a message that said, Dear, well, I don't want to say her name. I mean, I sort of do, but I probably shouldn't. So, this dear boss lady, are you aware that killdeer, and they had the Latin name too, are protected species under the Federal Migratory Bird Protection Act or something like that, and that it's illegal to disturb their nests and blah, blah, blah. And I told her that I was horrified when I brought it to her attention, and she just said, too bad. That's too bad for them. and that as an that I was shocked that as an arborist that she didn't care about the wildlife. And I said I didn't want to lose my job, but I wasn't even sure I wanted to work for an organization that doesn't respect wildlife or would just trample over a killdeer nest. Now, if you don't know what killdeer are, please just, I think I've seen some National Geographic stuff about them or something, but they're really cool birds, and it's no wonder they're protected, We're not just talking about some starling here or something. And so really, and then they had a great place to be because the whole thing was fenced off for dogs in the future, but it was also keeping all the predators out, while they were in their nesting and laying their nest. So they had an ideal spot until we all showed up with weed whackers and fucking shit and started cutting down trees and doing everything, and just basically encroached right on their habitat there and started ripping it up and destroying it. And so anyway, I wrote that, sincerely, Brian. And then I didn't send it. I read it to my roommate, and she thought it was a good idea. She called somebody else who she knew that was someone in forestry, and the lady was like, yeah, definitely. And, if they don't stop what they're doing there, you should call the Department of Natural Resources or Fish and Game or something. But I was like, do I want to lose my job? Do I want to get this involved? Will the other guys at work hate me? But I don't know why they would. It's not like we're contractors and we need to build there. It's just about this dog park, and why would anybody get all wound up about even if we couldn't open up the dog park for another 8 weeks or something, I mean, well, I think the biggest boss, the city manager guy, I think, the big boss there, I think he's going to be pissed off at me, and I think this will get back to him. And I have one of those at-will employment situations where it says, basically, you could just lose your job real easily there. You get fired real easily. Well, so she wrote me back and said that she was glad that she brought it to that I brought it to her attention, and that she wanted to. Oh yeah, I had told her to do a little research, to reconsider and do some research also in my first email. So she said that she was going to do some research, and she was glad I brought it to her attention, but I didn't know if that was like a fake or just like because she started to respond. I could see the little bubbles working in the thing, and then it went away for a while because I think she realized, like, oh fuck, this is like a federal thing. And then now I have this. Not only did I ask her in person and point it out to her and show her the nest, but then I wrote her an actual letter that could be used as a legal document or something. You know what I mean? And then so I don't know if she gave me a sincere response or just like that HR better say this type of response. And then she said that we could go there tomorrow and put up I think she might have said 4 walls or something like that. Like maybe like that hog wire stuff or something, and I figured, well, that's at least a start, but I kind of feel like that could fuck the birds up too. Like one of them could fly into it. Maybe not. Maybe it would be fine because there was other hog wire around there already, so I feel like they know what it is. But then let's say once the dog parks open up and you got a German Shepherd and you got these 2 little babies in the nest right there, and there's only like say 2 foot separating the baby birds from like fucking big dogs, and it's the big dog park. It's not the little dog park, So I don't see how big dogs and 2 little baby killdeer can mix. It just seems like not possible. I feel like their area needs to be bigger, and it needs to be like the dogs. Maybe half of the park needs to be closed off, or at least a big chunk of it, or at least a big pie wedge where the birds thing is, and so the dogs aren't even close to them, But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a big rigmarole tomorrow. I'm probably gonna get called into the office and maybe fired, or I just don't even know. It could be cool. It's kind of hard to imagine because I already was not really liking her a lot. She was just annoying me with her backwards chair sitting, and now her not caring about birds, and her rough treatment of trees, which I know that sounds bizarre. And I'm not really a tree hugger, but I would expect her to be a tree hugger, A non-tree hugging arborist is kind of an anomaly, I would think. But they're all about cutting the trees down, so I don't know why I felt like an arborist. I guess the name sounds sophisticated and fancy and like they would care. Like you would think an arborist would be like a super caring, cool person and like a granola eating, flannel shirt wearing. And she meets all those bills. She has that dress mode of like a sort of a ranger hat and a green shirt and some grayish pants. She looks sort of park rangerish. It's like a look she's developed for a while that just sort of says arborist, And oh God, I just realized this video is up to 27 minutes, but I guess that's how long it took to just talk about what I've done to myself. I don't know. I wasn't loving that job anyways. I think everybody could probably tell that, even just if you watch my video today. I'm just screwed. I'm just lost. I'm so lost. And now I've thrown down a gauntlet for a couple of killdeer and 2 killdeer eggs, and so, oh God. Well, anyways, if anybody's got any thoughts about this thing, I'd sure appreciate it if you shared them. And thanks for listening to me.